Darren from Brexit Central, Darren Grimes, what do you make of it?
Well, I think Lord Liddle has got that fundamentally confused, actually, because we can't possibly go on to talking about the future relationship until the EU moves things on. How can we possibly talk about Northern Ireland if we don't know what customs arrangement we're going to have post-Brexit? And on another point, I think the Prime Minister's speech in Florence set out a reassurance to EU citizens. It's reassured EU member states that they wouldn't have to pay more or receive less as a result of our decision to leave the EU. We will pay what we have committed to up until 2020, and it set out a future model of our economic partnership. The Prime Minister's been absolutely clear that we're leaving the customs union and the single market because the British people voted to take back control, and we can't stay in those EU institutions and have the control to sign our own trade agreements and set our own regulatory regime. I don't think there's anything confusing about that whatsoever.
Erin Minot. Let's hear from Erin Minot. Sorry, Roger. Let's hear. We want everybody who's joining.
What I did want to quickly bring up was earlier Darren mentioned how we should simply be looking to move on to making free trade agreements with other countries. What I wanted to ask is how, if we fail to negotiate with the EU, can we possibly move forward and make talks with other countries? And how can we move forward with Europe if we can't decide right now?
Okay, Darren, do you want to answer that?
Of course, that's a very good question. The way in which, if the trade talks fail with the EU, and I absolutely do not believe they will, I think that economic interests and realities will win out in the end, and a deal will be negotiated. That deep and special partnership will come into fruition because it is in both sides' interests, not just on the economy, but on security and other matters as well. But on your point, if we revert to World Trade Organization rules, we then fall to something called most favoured nation. And that means that we apply the EU's common external tariff to our imports from the EU and our exports. And that means that a tariff is applied to our goods, but that doesn't mean we stop trading with the European Union. It's not an ideal situation, and it's not the one that I think will happen, but that then allows us to sign trade agreements with the rest of the world.